Now I will discuss designing movement for the stage. How do you create blocking when working on a scene or a one-act play or maybe a full-length play with your students? How do you use movement to establish the relationships between the characters, to convey the message of the play, to determine the focal points for the audience during important moments, as well as create dynamic stage pictures that convey the story and complements the plot? Once you've selected your play and you are ready to go into the rehearsal process, you must take time to read the play thoroughly, do a complete analysis, understand the theme, understand the characters, their relationship, what message do you want your audience to leave with? And once you have a clear vision of what you want to achieve with the piece, you then decide, how do I make this happen with the group of actors that I have? And of course, one of the main things that happen in the rehearsal process is blocking the play, staging the play. So you have to decide what rehearsal blocking technique works for you. You may have a preferred style, or you may choose a particular one based on the piece that you're working on. So I've narrowed down to two rehearsal blocking techniques. There's pre-blocking and there's in-rehearsal blocking. Pre-blocking is where, as a director, you visualize the movements and the stage pictures that you want throughout the run of the show. And you come in with those blocking notes, those movement notes for each character. You come into the rehearsal process with those already selected. The blocking is then learned and rehearsed really quickly, and this allows the rehearsal process to go really fast because you already know what you want, and then you can work with your actors to sort of fine tune the overall look of the show. This is very useful for teachers that have a limited rehearsal time, or you're dealing with actors that are younger or less experienced. So instead of having them sort of figure out and work through that process and making acting choices, you already come in with that blocking pre-planned. For in rehearsal blocking, this is where the director and the actors work together to develop the blocking right then and there in the rehearsal space. You may explore a series of acting exercises. This is really good when you're dealing with actors that are a little bit more experienced and know how to use the space and how to use their body to not only demonstrate their character, but also to really tap into what is going on in the scene and to make those really strong choices. The students are free to play and they have the ability to try different approaches to their character, try different movements on the fly. And in those moments, we can make strong discoveries that we'd want to keep, or we realize that these are choices that may not work for this particular moment or for your character. Again, this technique usually works with smaller groups of students who are more experienced and are eager to contribute and are a lot more confident in making those choices. I like to use a mixture of both. So I'll come in with planned stage actions and movements in advance. Sometimes I have visions for particular moments in the play that this is exactly how I imagined it in my mind, and I'll bring those ideas to the rehearsal. But I also like to do a lot of viewpoints exercises and ask my students to create stage pictures for particular moments, and we work together to sort of come up and solidify what that blocking looks like. Oftentimes, I have more time for rehearsal. When I don't have as much time, I go straight into telling them exactly what I need them to do while giving them the freedom of making certain choices. Actors bring to life the characters within a play. They provide subtext and they tell the story that complements the plot through their use of movement, through their body language, their facial expression, their gestures, their tone of voice. It is important for an actor to understand the areas of the stage, their body positions, and the power in their movement throughout the space. An audience understands what is happening in the play, not just by the words, but through the movement, through what is being seen on stage, through what the actors are doing. So it is vital to use that tool for your advantage. Let me know, how do you develop blocking with your actors on stage? How do you get them to start to visualize how to communicate the story through movement? Please, students, different stories, different scenarios, and I ask them to arrange themselves on stage that communicates that. At times, I may have a basket with different scenarios or different character descriptions that might be in a scene, and I have them pull that from the basket, and they then create a stage picture, and the audience, the class, gets to guess and discuss what exactly that they're seeing, what is being communicated. The students are challenged not just to use spatial relationship and arrange themselves using different levels, but also to really engage their facial expression and their use of body language and gestures throughout throughout the exercise.
So you're either gonna demonstrate that in your facial expressions and body language, and you can also arrange yourselves on stage or in the space to demonstrate that. All right, hold, freeze. All right, good. Next emotion, surprised. Think about how you guys can also arrange yourselves to, good.
So in this picture, the students, they were working on creating tableaus for fairy tales. So each group was assigned a different fairy tale, and they had to come up with at least 3 to 4 pictures that demonstrate or communicate what is happening in the scene and how the story is progressing from beginning to end. So this is what each of these tableaus represent. And you may be able to guess this particular fairy tale that they were assigned was Jack and the Beanstalk.
He wasn't talking about you. He was talking about somebody else.
She wasn't talking about me? Well, who else was she talking to?
Oh, now he's interested. Now 2 minutes ago he was all, "Don't talk to me. Get away. I don't need nobody."
Look, I'm sorry, okay? Genuinely, I'm sorry. I guess I'm just a big stupid ogre.
Once the blocking is created by the director or in collaboration with the actor and the director, it is important that the actor notate these movement instructions within their script so as not to forget. To notate the blocking, the actor would use these abbreviations and symbols, shorthand form. So, for example, if the director instructed the actor to cross to another character in the scene, and let's call that character Bob. So, cross to Bob on this particular line. I would locate the line within the script, and I would use the symbol X to represent the cross. I would then use an arrow pointing right or left, indicating to, and I can use the first letter of the character's name, depending if they're the only character within the script with a name that starts with that letter, or I could write out the person's name. So cross to Bob. Or I may also write X, arrow pointing to a particular area on the stage that that character needs to cross to. I would use abbreviations to represent the 9 different areas of the stage. So for example, downstage center, I would write DC to represent downstage center. Downstage left, I would use DL to represent downstage left. So you would indicate these movement instructions that are given to you by the director so as not to forget using these symbols. And these are just some of the symbols that I use in my rehearsal with my students. And thank you guys for listening. That is the end of our webinar. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please feel free to reach out to me using the Godot Community Middle School Theater Discussion Board, or you can leave a comment under this video on YouTube.